What is so wonderful about this movie? Really? What is so fucking wonderful about Wonder Woman? I really would like to know why this has a 92% in Rotten Tomatoes. Why this is considered to be a higher rated movie than Superman the movie or Batman 1989 or Batman Returns or a lot of these other DC comic book films. I really would like to know that. Because what I saw, and what I saw not once but twice, because I saw it once, the first time I was not impressed at all with the film. I thought it was overrated. I thought it was boring. I thought it was generic. I thought it was lame. I thought it was Blunder Woman. And then I saw it again because I thought maybe if I see it by myself and I'm not watching with other people, then maybe my opinion might change on it. Or maybe if I see it again, maybe there'll be more things about it that I might like. No, it was the exact same thing. And if anything, the experience was even worse the second time around because it was extremely tedious. This is such a tedious, boring movie. I really do not get the praise this film gets at all. And that's okay. That's not my job. I'm not supposed to get the praise. I'm not supposed to understand why people like this movie. That's not the whole point of this. But I absolutely want to make this 100% crystal clear before I go any further. If you happen to like this film, you think it's a classic, it's one of your favorites from the year, you think it is the best DCU film, you think it's a great movie, that's awesome. That actually is wonderful. That's more wonderful than the film to me, because that just proves that we still live in a very interesting place, because there are different opinions, and I have absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. More power to you. I'm glad you were able to enjoy a film that I wasn't able to get that much enjoyment out of. I think that's great. Now, for me personally, yeah, I didn't find much enjoyment out of this movie at all. Both times. I personally do feel that this was a spectacular fail all across the board. It failed in the most important phases of a film for me. The most important phases of a film for me personally are the story, the script, the characters, whether they're likable or memorable or enjoyable or entertaining, and then the entertainment factor. Is the movie boring or not? This movie failed all three of those fucking phases for me personally. Because the story and the script sucked, the characters were unlikable or boring and bland, and were either made out of fucking cardboard, or there was nothing to them except the fucking air, and then the excitement factor, there barely was any whatsoever. Like, that was the one where they got, like, the movie got like a D-. It didn't totally fail, because there was like an action sequence or two that I didn't mind, but there were still issues with those because of other factors. But yeah, my personal opinion, it failed in all three very important phases of a film for me personally. So, and it doesn't help either that I'm not a big fan of this character. I never have been that big of a fan of Wonder Woman. I'm familiar with the character because my mom is a big fan of the character and a big fan of the TV show starring Linda Carter, and I do remember enjoying her character in the Justice League animated series. In Justice League and Justice League Unlimited in the 2000s. But I didn't like Gal Gadot in Batman vs. Superman. I thought she sucked, and I thought she couldn't act worth a shit in that film. And I was leery of this movie from the very beginning because I personally did not feel that Gal Gadot could carry her own film. And in my opinion, my concerns were warranted. Because she could not carry this film. In fact, the film crumbled to fucking dust on her shoulders, in my opinion. She's not a good actress. What are these critics smoking when they say things like she's charismatic and she's spectacular and she's perfect? This is an actress who was one step away from retiring from acting until Zack Snyder came along and gave her a shot and gave her the role of Wonder Woman for Batman vs. Superman. And you can see why. She's got all the acting talents of a fucking porn star, or at least equal to that. Charismatic and Gal Gadot do not belong in the same sentence, in my personal opinion. And I keep reiterating that because a lot of people kind of seem to overlook that and think that, oh, I'm trying to make bold statements here. No, this is just my opinion. And in my opinion, she fucking sucks as an actress. She's Gal, get the fuck out of my face, Gadot, because get the fuck out of my face with this shitty acting that's so fucking rank that it smells like an entire fish market that was just left on its own, without anybody working there, without anybody cleaning it, for days and days on end. So her acting stinks like rotten fish. So anyway, yeah, as you can see, I'm definitely not a fan of this movie. So I wasn't looking forward to it from the beginning anyway. And then the running time really made me go, oh God, 141 minutes, 2 hours and 21 minutes. Did this movie really need to be that long? The answer is no! No, it did not need to be this long. It makes a movie with a tedious and tired script and story all the more tedious and tired to sit through, and tiring to sit through, because of how fucking long it is. There's no reason for it to be this long. You could have cut out a whole slew of sequences of dialogue, and it would have improved the film, and would have improved the pacing considerably. So this film was directed by Patty Jenkins, who a lot of the critics and a lot of the people would like to say that she's the first one to ever direct a film like this. So she's the first woman to direct a comic book superhero film featuring a female lead. You see this in all these different publications, you see it in videos and interviews, and I'm here to tell you that this is revisionist history. Because the true first trailblazer, so to speak, or the first woman to really cross that boundary is Rachel Talalay, who directed Tank Girl. And Tank Girl also featured a female lead. It was based in a comic book. It came out in 1995, and Tank Girl is technically a superhero because she ends up saving the world at the end of the movie. So that movie isn't as well praised or as well received as this movie is, but this isn't a question of, oh, this is the first good comic book film featuring a female lead and directed by one. This is a question of what really is the first comic book film directed by a woman featuring a female lead. And the first one of that type is Tank Girl. It's not this movie. And Wonder Woman isn't even the first big blockbuster comic book movie starring a woman in the lead either. I mean, you have Supergirl with Helen Slater, which cost over $30 million, was heavily marketed. It was a bomb, critically and financially, but that's technically the first one to be a big budget comic book superhero adaptation featuring a female lead. And then you have stuff like Elektra and Catwoman. I know you like to forget Catwoman, and so do I. And as bad as this is, it's not as bad as that movie. But that's not saying anything, really. That's not saying much. It's like comparing two different pieces of shit and one smells less than the other. They're still pieces of shit. But yeah, Catwoman costs $100 million. So this is a bunch of revisionist history when it comes to this movie's groundbreaking barriers that it's breaking when it comes to cinematic and film history. Now, I will give it this. It is the first film of its type to really be a huge box office hit, but that's not saying much either because the pool is so shallow. There haven't been that many films like this in this particular genre that feature female leads. So the ones that have been made haven't done very well, and so this is the first one to do well. Good, cool. First one to get critical acclaim and to make some money in the box office. Here's a nice golf clap for you, Wonder Woman. That's really amazing. You really, I mean, that's just something that'll totally go down in the history books as something that is just going to be unbelievably memorable, and people are going to be talking about it for years and years to come. Bullshit. So anyway, Patty Jenkins directed this film, and the last film she did before this was Monster. And if you see my review on that film, you know my thoughts on that. I love that movie. I think that's a fantastic film. It's a much better movie, in my opinion, than this. I would have rather have had Charlize Theron play Wonder Woman than Gal Get the Fuck Out of My Face Gadot. Or some of the other actresses they were considering when they were trying to get this film off the ground as early as the 1990s. In 1996, there was a script they were kind of working on for Wonder Woman where they had Sandra Bullock in mind. I would have loved to have seen that, because Sandra Bullock has things that Gal Gadot doesn't fucking have. Charisma and acting ability. And she can be a believable badass. I would have been, instead of Gal Gadot, how about Kate Beckinsale? She proves she can kick some ass in the Underworld films. Why does Wonder Woman have to be a younger woman? She can be an older woman. There's nothing against that. I don't see how that would really be something that you couldn't have. I'd rather have that actress who played Lady Sif in Thor over Gal Gadot. Gal, get the fuck out of my face, Gadot. And what's ironic is I kind of compare her to a poor woman's... She's a poor woman's Catherine Zeta-Jones. She has the accent. She kind of looks like her. She's got the same kind of demeanor about her, but she doesn't have 1 ounce of the same charisma that Catherine Zeta-Jones has. And Catherine Zeta-Jones was rumored at one point to be Wonder Woman in a Wonder Woman film that was in development before this one. So I would have been fine with that too. Anything's better than Gal Get the Fuck Out of My Face Gadot. Now, Patty Jenkins, her directing is not the problem. Her directing actually is one of the few things about the movie that I thought were actually legitimately noteworthy. It was competent. It was solid. It wasn't the most amazing direction. It wasn't like the direction that made my jaw drop or anything. But it was solid and it was competent. She knew how to set up her shots well. I think somebody should have told her to cut back on the fucking slow-mo. But maybe that was Zack Snyder, who was like, hey, more slow motion, because this is a DCU movie and we need to have all this slow motion for some reason. I don't know. I don't know whose decision it was with the slow-mo, but whoever it was needed to be slapped in the fucking face. And then kicked in the fucking dick. Because that was just annoying. And it really took away from a lot of the legitimately well-choreographed action sequences in this movie. You had slow-motion overdose, which was just made these sequences nowhere near as good. Because the slow motion overdose just made me roll my eyes and just made me shake my head. And I was just like, oh God, come on. Enough of this shit already. Slow motion is fucking dead to me. It really is. They've overdone it so much that, like I said, slow motion overdose. They fucking killed slow motion in films. Because it's been done way too goddamn much. And to the point now where it has absolutely no impact anymore. It's just one of those things you see and you're just like, oh God, can you just show the fight scene? We don't need the slow motion. Especially not with some horrible, shitty looking CGI version of one of the Amazons in slow-mo when she gets shot by a bullet. Early in the movie. But anyway, Patty Jenkins' direction is not really an issue. It's fine. The script by Alan Heinberg, though, is needed another writer. You needed someone, needed a rewrite, needed some punch up the dialogue, needed something a little more to it. Needed to cut out some stuff, needed to cut out the absolutely horseshit ending where Ares is monologuing for what feels like eternity, and the whole cliched bullshit of join me and together we will rule the galaxy. What the fuck? Are you serious? They're pulling that shit? Join me, and together we will change things, or whatever the fuck. Just like, oh my God, really? And I guess Zack Snyder worked on the story along with Alan Heinberg and Jason Fuchs. features a score by Rupert Gregson Williams, which is another one of the few things about the movie that I didn't hate, that I thought was all right. There were a couple pieces of the score that I legitimately liked. There were other pieces of the score, though, that I didn't care for at all, because it was just the same fucking superhero score I've heard in tons of other movies before this. It just ran together. It was extremely familiar. All the notes sounded familiar. It didn't really differentiate itself that much from other superhero film scores for me, except for a few minor exceptions. Cinematography by Matthew Jensen. It's there at times. It's not anything like, wow, man, the cinematography in this is just spectacular. The editing by Martin Walsh. It's competent. See, this is a competent production. This isn't a movie that was fucked around with by the studio and it shows, like Batman vs. Superman or Suicide Squad. But Suicide Squad, to me, had things about it that I thought were actually better than this. I'd rather watch that movie than this. As much of a train wreck as that film is, it's got two characters I actually like, and it's got a really nice visual style to it. So, yeah, I mean, there's other elements, they're there. I want to point out the production and the art design, because I really do think that is one of the best things about the film, hands down. They did a great job recreating the look of World War I and the era and the clothes and all these other things and the settings. So I want to definitely give credit where credit is due for that. Now, I definitely don't think the visual effects, though, were that impressive. I thought they could have used some work. Some of the CGI was really shitty, in my opinion, especially any time when Wonder Woman is leaping around and jumping around and doing all this stuff. And when you have the CGI stunt doubles and you had the CGI Wonder Woman sliding around, it just looked unnatural and looked like shit. It really did. It looked fucking shitty. I don't understand why you're like, hey, yeah, let's not have an actual stunt woman do all this stuff. Let's have a CGI Wonder Woman use the lasso and do all this other stuff. And it just looks like shit. It looked as bad as the sequence in Ghost in the Shell where Scarlett Johansson is leaping around and jumping around off these walls while stuff is falling around. And it just, the physics were so off. It looked like she was on crack and jumping up off the fucking moon, or jumping like she's on the fucking moon. And I don't know, maybe that's the point, because of Wonder Woman's powers. I don't know. Regardless, it just looked bad. And speaking of bad CGI, the whole fucking climax was one giant CGI clusterfuck that was fucking boring. You had all this stuff going on, this tanks exploding, all these explosions, they're all CGI, not real, all CG, the gas and all this stuff that's going on, and a battle between Ares and Wonder Woman, and I did not give a flying fuck, because everything was done in CGI, in CGI land, behind a fucking green screen. There was no emotional investment in this climax. There was no thrills for me, because everything was so fucking fake. Same issue that the climax that Batman vs. Superman had. CGI clusterfuck. But this time, let's just repeat it for some reason. As if it'll be any different this time around. And then you have the cast, which is easily another thing that really is a total failure, in my opinion. You have an absolutely horrendous lead and Gal Gadot. Gal, get the fuck out of my face, Gadot. As Diana Prince and Wonder Woman, whose accent is so thick, there are times where I can't understand what she's saying. Her line delivery ranges from porn star levels to even below that. And there are certain, I just don't get it. I mean, especially the praise that her performance gets. That's something I definitely don't understand. At best, when she's trying really hard, or when she's not trying at all, which is kind of crazy. When she's not trying at all, she's average performance-wise. That's not saying much. That's very faint praise. And most of the time, she's absolutely horrible, in my opinion, atrocious, and pathetic. She's supposed to be this strong badass, and I don't buy her in the role one bit. In large parts because she has no charisma. She has all the charisma of a fucking Barbie doll. And she looks like she's on the set of some Victoria's Secret commercial or some shit. I don't really buy her in this role. I don't buy her as a badass. And she really needed less dialogue because she can't say her lines very well. She's not a good actress, period. In order to really kind of hide her inability to act, you know what they should have done? They should have not had her have so much lines of dialogue. Especially when she has to say, "Duty. We're Amazons, and it's our duty. It's our sacred duty to defend the earth." Oh, really? It's your sacred duty to defend the earth? Well, what about World War I that's been going on for 4 years? What? Decided not to do anything like that. Your sacred duty to defend the earth, and you're sitting there on an island and with your thumbs stuck up your fucking cooches and not doing dick. You're not doing jack shit. And you only do something once Chris Pine falls right into your fucking lap. Yeah, then you're like, oh, and the Germans follow him too. And then, that's when you finally realize, oh, wow, there's something going on. The world is in danger. We should do something. But even then, they don't do anything, and it's up for Wonder Woman to actually follow suit on the Amazon sacred duty. God. So anyway, yeah, anytime she says that line, it's pretty cringe-inducing. There's moments where she's supposed to be questioning things, but it's just really bad acting. The Germans, or talking, the moments where she's supposed to show any kind of real emotion. It's not believable in the slightest. She's supposed to be crying over the loss of her trainer and her friend, General Antiope, her aunt, Antiope. And then when Steve Trevor, spoiler, dies, it's not believable then either. So that's one of the worst things about the movie is easily Gal get the fuck out of my face Gadot. She brings the film down to its fucking knees. Chris Pine doesn't really help that much either. I mean, he plays Captain Steve Trevor, an American pilot who's also an Allied spy, who's Diana's love interest in the film, and they have no chemistry with one another. I don't get the praise for these two and their chemistry. I didn't fucking buy it. They had about as much chemistry as 2 fucking bricks, which is none. Well, actually, 2 bricks could actually have chemistry because they could stack on top of each other, which is more than I could say for Chris Pine and Gal get the fuck out of my face Gadot. Robin Wright, I liked actually as Diana's aunt and mentor, General Antiope. I also liked the actress who played her mother, Connie Nielsen. These were all women that I actually thought would have been better Wonder Women than Gal Gadot because they're believable badasses. They have a commanding presence about them, and yeah, they would have been older choices to play Wonder Woman, but I don't think age is really that big of a deal when it comes to Wonder Woman. It's like it's the presence, it's that kind of thing. At least I think so, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. You also had Danny Huston, who played some guy. That's really what he is. He's some German guy. Oh, his name was Eric Ludendorff. Whatever. This is a guy who you will forget about the moment after you leave the theater. After you're done watching the movie, you will forget about this villain. He's that forgettable. He's that fucking carbon copy, cookie cutter, He's just a paper cutout. There's nothing to this villain. In fact, both of these villains are paper cutouts. There's nothing to them. They're not memorable. They're extremely lame. They're as bad as some of the worst Marvel villains. And there's like a video on YouTube where the people who were behind Wonder Woman are responding to what they call trolls when it comes to this movie. And there are people who make legitimate criticisms like I am, that these are pretty shitty villains. And they're like, oh, what? What about Danny? Danny's a great villain. I'm like, really? Danny Huston, the guy who chews so much fucking scenery in this movie, he leaves bite marks at the end of the fucking screen? We got to set up our plans for the Kaiser. Yes, the Kaiser. Should have just had Arnold Schwarzenegger in that role. Danny Huston, who was, he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine, another shitty comic book film. And he's equally as bad in this as he was in that. Actually, he's actually a little bit better in that as Stryker than he was in this. He was just a scenery-chewing steroid guy with a shitty German accent. Chris Pine had a better German accent than he had. And what's crazy about Chris Pine, I actually thought he had more charisma and was actually legitimately better as an character when he had charm and charisma when he was masquerading as some German guy near the end of the movie. So Danny Huston is, he's the distant relative of scary German guy. He's a leery German guy, because he just leers at you from across the room and doesn't really do that much and doesn't leave that much of a fucking impact. Even though he, I guess, inhales some fucking super cocaine or some fucking drugs or whatever, or something that Dr. Poison created for him, or Ares, I don't know, and it makes them all super powerful. Which is just, wow. A generic villain who has something that makes him super strong. We haven't seen that happen before. And then you had David Thewlis, who played Ares, and there was supposed to be this big reveal at the end, which didn't fucking work because I saw it coming from a mile away. And then you have Elena Anaya as Dr. Isabel Maru, aka Dr. Poison, because she's venomous poison. Poison running through my veins. She's poison. So, she's Dr. Poison. She's got, like, a fucking face mask on, which muffles her speech in certain lines, so it's hard to understand what the fuck she's saying. It doesn't really matter, because she's an absolutely useless, worthless fucking character. And I'm hearing people, she could be back for the sequel. Why the fuck would you want to bring her back? She added nothing to this movie whatsoever. She had a face mask. What was she? Another one of Joker's failed art projects? This is I'm trying to remember her name, Alicia, and she killed herself, threw herself out the window. She's got a face mask on, and she's got a scar on her face. Looking like she's some discount store Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, she's Phantom the Awful. Because she's fucking awful in this movie. Dr. Poison, she should fucking poison herself and get the fuck out of this film. There's absolutely no point to this character. And then you have the poor man's dime store fucking Howling Commandos. You got Charlie, who's a Scottish sharpshooter, who's annoying, who sees ghosts. Sad Tamagotchi. Yeah, sad is right. Tamagawi, actually, sorry. He plays a French Moroccan who just wears a fez on his head, and that's all I fucking really know about this guy. He wears a fez on his head, and he has a scene later where he acts like he's a slave to Chris Pine's character when he's undercover. Eugene Brave Rock as a guy whose name is just Chief. He's a Native American guy who all his purpose is to send smoke signals at the end of the fucking movie. So Wonder Woman can follow the smoke signals to Ludendorff's location. Because he was following Ludendorff. Or Ludendork. Lucy Davis plays Etta Candy, who's this film's shitty comic relief, who's Chris Pine, Steve Trevor's secretary, who's this fat, just annoying British lady who's trying to be funny and failing miserably. This film doesn't have anything that is remotely chuckle-worthy in terms of lines of dialogue. I don't understand the praise for the boat scene. Oh, the boat scene! The boat scene is so amazing! The boat scene was improvised. This great, hilarious boat scene was improvised. Who the fuck cares about the boat scene? Give a shit? I do not fucking care about the boat scene. There was nothing about that scene that was like, oh man, those lines were so memorable. Oh, you told me you need to be married to make love or whatever or something. Or I don't give a shit. Who the fuck cares? I've forgotten it already. That's how great the boat scene was. God. So that's your cast. Whole bunch of nobodies or nobody I give a fuck about. And then you have the story, which isn't much better. So the script, in my opinion, the story here is just a paint-by-numbers superhero origin story. You've seen done a million times before. And I don't get the praise for this film because of that. I mean, if this was any other movie with any other lead, with any other setup, it would get absolutely crucified by critics for having such a generic story. But no, for some reason this film is getting the pass. And if you like the film and you give it a pass, it's fine. You know, if the movie was entertaining, I'd be willing to let a lot of shit slide with this movie. But it wasn't. It wasn't fucking entertaining. It was boring. It was boring. It was so boring. I swear to God, I felt like I was aging by the minute, by the second. Life was draining from my fucking body every time I was watching this movie. Both fucking times. It was that fucking boring. It was such a draining, tedious, just terrible experience. Both times to sit through. I'm watching this movie and I'm waiting for it to become great. I'm waiting for it to become the film that all these critics are praising and this wonderful movie and the best comic book film in the DC universe since The Dark Knight. And it never fucking happens. I never see it. So I'm just stuck here with this generic, bland, boring bullshit. So, the movie opens up in present-day Paris, and she receives a World War I era photographic plate, which is sent to her by Wayne Enterprises, and this is with Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. She receives this, and she ends up recalling her past, and she does a monologue kind of thing in the beginning with this kind of narration, and she's flat as a fucking board during all of it. You find out she was born and raised on this hidden island of Themyscira, or might as well call it the Mascara. So she was born on this island of the Mascara, and it's a home to an Amazon race of warrior women who were created by the gods of Mount Olympus to protect mankind and humankind. Because Ares, the god of war, slew all the gods, except for Zeus, who struck him down before he got killed. So, before Zeus died, which is crazy, Zeus of all people is getting killed this easily by Ares. Okay, alright, what? Is he supposed to be the king of the gods? Apparently not. So, before he died from his wounds, Zeus left the Amazons a weapon capable of killing his renegade son Ares, the god killer. Oh, and he also created the Amazons out of, love and compassion to battle and protect people from Ares, and the war that he was breeding and creating in people's minds and causing all across the land. And this is all shown in a flashback, which actually is, I thought was actually pretty visually cool. I'll give it that too. This whole scene where they're showing Diana's mom is telling her the backstory of everything of Zeus and the Amazons, and it's all set up as if it's like a painting by Michelangelo, like something you'd see on the Sistine Chapel. And I thought that was pretty well done. I'll give it credit for that. So, Queen Hippolyta, Diana's mother, believes that Ares will return, and because of this, she forbids Diana from training as a warrior. But Diana is really gung-ho about it. She wants to be a warrior. She wants to be a fighter. And Diana and her aunt, General Antiope, they end up going against her mother's orders, and they begin training in secret. They are then discovered by Hippolyta. Antiope convinces her sister to allow Diana's training to continue. This is the same kind of typical shit you've seen in a million fucking movies of this type. Okay? Oh, I don't want you to do this, train this person. She means too much to me. She shouldn't be involved in any of this. Oh, but I want to fight. Oh, I'm going to train. It's the same kind of shit you've seen a million fucking times. The only difference is it's on some island of the Amazons. And to be honest, if I want to watch some Amazon warrior action, I'll just watch a Roger Corman Amazon movie, like Barbarian Queen, stuff like that. Amazons. I'll just watch something like that. Because there's a lot of sword and sandals flicks you can watch that have Amazons fighting and things like that. This isn't anything new. So, Diana grows up, and she's training and everything, and she discovers she has these bracelets that she has. She discovers they have pretty intense power when she's fighting with Antiope, and her mother eventually agrees to train her, let her be trained, and because she wants her to be trained to be the best and even better than Antiope. And then an undetermined amount of time, I don't know, goes by, and Steve Trevor, Chris Pine, he crashes his plane into the ocean next to the island. He gets saved by Diana. The island is then invaded by these Germans who are pursuing Steve. Then the Amazons start getting involved with a fight with the German sailors with fucking slow motion overdose and overkill. Really shitty CGI, like I mentioned earlier, in the scene where this one Amazon is shooting an arrow in slow motion and gets hit by a bullet. And it's 100% fake. And it looks 100% fake as well. Slow motion that's like straight out of 300, but it's a discount 300. It's a second rate 300 type of thing. It looks like a 300 knockoff. It's not 300. Yeah, the slow motion was kind of cool, but that really wasn't the selling factor for me in 300. One of the main selling factors for me in 300 was the visual style and how fucking intense and gory it was. It's rated R. This is PG-13, so it's just like they're doing all these 300 moves, but it doesn't have that much impact because it doesn't have the R rating in its favor. And this didn't have to be R-rated. It's just, why do you have to remind me of 300? Why don't you just not have this fucking slow-mo? It's not necessary. It takes away from this legitimately good choreography, this fight choreography and sword fighting and all of that. And for some reason, these Amazons are getting gunned down like it's no problem by these Germans. And I'm like, wait a second. It said in the prologue thing where you're talking about the history of Zeus and Ares, these Amazons were supposedly so powerful and great. And they were created by Zeus to defend the earth. And they're getting shot by bullets and they're dying like it's no fucking big deal. Yeah, these are some defenders of the earth. So Antiope ends up getting killed when she intercepts a bullet that was meant for Diana. Steve Trevor gets interrogated with the lasso of truth. He reveals that World War I is raging outside and that he's an Allied spy. I'm doing that because that's actually how he says that line. He says that line. He admits that he's a spy as if he got kicked in the fucking nutsack. It's like, who are you? It's like, I'm a spy. I cannot believe that Patty Jenkins was like, yeah, that's the take to go with right there. But anyway, he tells about this story where he stole a notebook with valuable information from Dr. Poison, who was trying to engineer some deadlier form of gas. Must be collecting the gas that comes from this movie's ass. It's pretty fucking deadly. And as he's collecting this gas under the orders of General Ludendorff, from a weapon facility, Diana believes that Ares is responsible for the war because he's the god of war. So she arms herself with a ceremonial sword, the god killer, and leaves and takes Steve with her on a boat to try to destroy Ares. They arrive in London. She says it's ugly. Steve says, oh, well, it's not for everybody. Sums up this film rather nicely. Oh, well, it's not for everybody. Clearly not for everybody, because it's definitely not a film for me. So then you have the stupid cringe-inducing shit where she's trying on dresses and Etta Candy gets introduced and is annoying as hell. Just more talking and bullshit. Introduced David Thewlis' character, who eventually turns out to be Ares in a twist that doesn't surprise anybody. She wants to go on to the front and help these soldiers who were stuck in the trenches, but Steve Trevor's all like, we need to do our mission, which is to try to get intel and stop the gas from being unleashed and all this shit. So, before that, of course, they get some help from the non-Howling Commandos. And then she finally becomes Wonder Woman an hour and 14 minutes in the movie. She shows up, grabs her shield, blocks some bullets with her bracelets, saves the soldiers out of the trenches, and helps save the town from the Germans who are occupying it. In what is actually a pretty good action sequence. I like that action sequence. It did suffer from a bit too much slow motion, but at the end of the day, I still like the action sequence. It's the only action sequence in the entire movie that I actually liked. Everything else, I could take or leave. Just leave in the fucking garbage. Especially the fucking climax. So, she saves these people. I do like the approach that they have with Wonder Woman, where she's trying to do the right thing, and she really is a true hero. I appreciate that approach. I just wish it was in a better film. Then they go into this gala at the German High Command. Steve Trevor masquerades as some German guy, has a more believable German accent than Ludendorff, and infiltrates the party. He's trying to locate where the gas is. Diana believes that Ludendorff is Ares, and she believes that if she kills him with the sword, the god killer, she'll stop all war. She goes in and masquerades herself because she steals some dress off of some woman, goes in the party. Ludendorff dances with her. She is about to kill him, but then she's stopped by Steve Trevor. The Indian guy sends some smoke signals. Diana chases after Ludendorff because he launched a gas and killed everybody involved. So really didn't fucking make... Really, that just made the whole action sequence where she saved all these people fucking pointless. Because, well, doesn't matter anyway, because Ludendorff unleashes the gas and kills everybody in the fucking town. Yeah. Great screenplay. Wonderful job. That's an Oscar-worthy screenwriting job right there, Alan Heinberg. What were you writing with? Your fucking hiney? Were you writing with your pencil up your ass and letting your ass do the writing? Are you kidding me? Oh, this whole action sequence, it was a whole big deal. She's standing up for truth and justice, and then boom, oh, it doesn't matter anyway, they fucking die. She blames all this on Chris Pine for some dumb reason, and you're just like Ares, and then rides off on her horse, follows the smoke signals of where Ludendorff is, and she gets in a pretty shitty fight with Ludendorff where she throws him around with her lasso, and they get in a little bit of scuffle before that, and then she stabs him with her sword. Then she realizes later that, oh, he's not Ares, it's David Thewlis' character. And then David Thewlis talks for what feels like I said, fucking eternity. Chris Pine and the not Howling Commandos go in and try to stop the gas from being dropped off somewhere and causing havoc in London. Which I'm like, instead of London, I mean, it's the same fucking climax almost as the first Avenger. It's like, if I want to see this type of movie, I'll just watch the first Avenger. It's a more entertaining film. It's got a better lead. It's got Chris Evans is much better than Chris Pine and Gal Gadot combined. And it's the same kind of thing. Instead of atom bombs, it's gas. It's gas that's going to be dropped on London. And then who knows where else. And so Chris Pine sacrifices himself, and it doesn't leave any impact on me whatsoever. Wonder Woman gets pissed off, breaks out of her, because she was trapped by Ares by a piece of metal. She breaks out of it. And then there's this really shitty looking scene where she's sliding around, running behind a green screen and fighting all these soldiers. And then in slow motion, she hits her fucking G-spot and is all like, ah! And then, like, it's just like, God damn it. Why? This whole sequence is just a CGI clusterfuck. There's no emotional investment. It's just not exciting. It's not thrilling. It's not fun. It's just CGI fucking nonsense. Ares is blabbing on and on about who the fuck gives a fuck, who cares, who gives a shit, don't care what the fuck he's saying. Asking her to kill Dr. Poison. She doesn't do it because then she remembers some things. She has a flashback to something that Chris Pine told her before he blew up. She then throws a tank, gets, absorbs the lightning bolts from Ares into her bracelets. Says a corny line like this: I believe in the power of love. I believe in love. I believe in a thing called love, right? That's all that seemed as missing was the Darkness song. I believe in a thing called love. Excuse my fucking terrible attempt at trying to sing that song. But yeah, really. It's just like, God. And then she flies into the air and shoots a fucking lightning bolt that destroys Ares that was foreshadowed earlier in the film, because that's how Zeus got rid of Ares the first time. Which makes me pause. I'm like, well, if that didn't really kill Ares the first time around, what is the point of that? It's just not going to kill him again? Did you really kill him this time with the same move? And am I supposed to believe that she shot him with the power of love? I hope that's not the case. I hope she doesn't get her power from love. What is she? Mati from fucking Captain Planet? Heart! Talking about, I believe in love. It's like, it's so corny. I'm sorry. I don't care if it is in the comics. That's the kind of thing you can't pull off with a straight face. She comes across as a fucking Care Bear. The only thing she was missing is shooting the pink hearts at Ares at the end of the movie, instead of a lightning bolt. So she defeats Ares. There's like a memorial kind of thing where she's there that in London. They celebrate the end of the war. She sees a memorial wall, and there's Chris Pine. She tries to emote and be sad and fails. Falls flat on her fucking bedazzled, sparkly ass. And then the movie ends with her doing another fucking narration with her dead fucking personality. And she says something like, I believe love will conquer, or like, love is the strongest, some shit like love. And once again, saying love will save the world or some shit. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is so fucking corny. That's awful. And people, oh, true justice in the American way. That's not as corny as I believe the love will save the world. God. And then she hears a call, gets into her Wonder Woman outfit. She runs up some building, jumps on top of it, leaps at the screen in slow motion. And then you have the Wonder Woman theme. And then the movie's over, and I'm like, thank God, it's fucking over. Oh, God, I can't believe I watched this movie twice. Anyway, I really don't know what else to say about the film. It's been almost an hour. I know it's been a long video. For those of you who have stayed for this long, hey, I applaud you, and thanks. I hope you enjoyed the rant and the review. And to do a summary, there were some things I liked. It wasn't a total failure. It wasn't a total misfire. I liked some bits of the score. I liked the action sequence in the town with in the trenches and things like that. But that's hurt. That action sequence in Veld is hurt too because of what happens later. But I still like that. A bit too much slow-mo for my taste, but I still liked it. I liked some of the performances by some of the Amazons, and the direction was solid. Excuse me, just thinking this movie's giving me indigestion for some reason. And I definitely did appreciate and really did admire the production and art design. That's it. That's all I have to fucking give this film. That's it. That's all the pros and positives I have for Wonder Woman, for Blunder Woman, because everything else to me was shit. This movie was just blundering through every aspect of the film, of a film's production, and just falling on its bedazzled, sparkly, glowing, maybe it's fucking Maybelline ass. So yeah, if this is a film that young girls can look at and look for inspiration, fantastic. That's wonderful. I'm glad they can find inspiration from this movie for them in their life. If this is a movie that people can look at and enjoy and think it's a classic and think it is one of the best films of the year and one of the best comic book films, cool. I respectfully disagree, but it's my personal... I have no issue with that. And I know I've said that a bunch in this review, but I just wanted to make it clear, because I know there's going to be people who are going to, for some reason, not get that. So I want to make it as pinpoint precise as I possibly can. So I don't really know what else to say about this movie. I'm out of breath. I'm out of fucks to give about Wonder Woman. The only fuck I have left to give is what to rate this shit. And if it was a rate Wonder Woman out of 5 stars, I'm giving it 1 out of 5 stars. I really am. This is easily one of the worst films I've seen this year. This is probably... I would say... This movie honestly gave me newfound respect for Fist Fight. As bad as that movie is, I'd rather watch that. As bad as Baywatch is, I'd rather watch Baywatch than Wonder Woman. This is just such a boring, tedious, just generic fucking movie. And even if this film was made before the first Avenger or some of these other Marvel movies, I still think it would be a tedious, boring, generic film because of how bad the screenplay is, in my opinion. How bad the script is, and how weak the lead is. So anyway, I don't know what else to say. I know I've said that many times. I'm done. I've got nothing else to say. I'm completely discombobulated. This movie's fucking fried my brain cells. You know, shoved his fucking finger up my dick hole. I don't know what else to say. I'm fucking done. I'm done with Wonder Woman. Thanks for watching my review and rant. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.